Well, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the latest in our webcasts. And we're talking today about the 4 pillars of operational excellence. This is a 30-minute session, so we're going to try to be respectful of your time. And I think you'll find it a very relevant topic in today's world. I'm Dan French. I'm founder and CEO of Consider Solutions, the one on the left, and I'm very pleased to be joined here in London by Bogdan Stefan. Welcome, Bogdan.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, Dan. Hello, everybody.
Thanks, Bogdan. And Bogdan has a wealth of experience in operational excellence, obviously, but in transformation, both operationally and digitally, business strategy, and in GBS. So very pleased to hear of some of Bogdan's experiences and perspectives. I mean, some of you who are as nearly as old as me will remember a book called In Search of Excellence a long time ago, Tom Peters' book, and now it sounds like we might have found some excellence. So we've got the next 30 minutes are going to be a very, very important time. So here's our agenda. I'm just introducing the topic, and we're going to talk a little bit about peak performance and its relationship to operational excellence. I'm going to ask Bogdan to talk about his perspectives on the 4 pillars. I'm going to share some thoughts for the roads, and there's going to be a Q&A at the end. So as you go through this, if you've got any questions, and I hope you have, please enter your questions into the question panel on the GoToWebinar interface in front of you. Just pop them in there and we'll deal with them at the end. We might have time for all of them, but we will deal with all of them in writing after the event, even if we can't cover them all live. So that's the agenda, as I say, 30 minutes. Now, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to work out we're in interesting times right now. It's definitely an economic soft cycle, to say the least. Got interest rates, inflation, still got supply chain issues, in fact, new supply chain issues. We've got geopolitical instability, to say the least. A lot of stuff going on, and most organizations are looking for the extra few percent of operational effectiveness. So it's a very, very good time to have this discussion. And I like to think of operational excellence, which clearly operational excellence is a discipline as well as a term. I like to think of it as organizational fitness, that kind of being able to be strong, the agility to move fast, change direction, highly controlled but fast, and the stamina to sustain for the long haul. So the metaphor of the cheetah, I think, is a good one. So this is about how do we develop peak performance, how do we sustain it? So very, very relevant topic. But of course, it's probably never been any different. But we're always led to believe that the answer is just technology. So a technology-led transformation must be the answer to create operational excellence and organizational fitness. Well, there's a lot of value in the technologies we have and the technologies we're seeing emerging, but you still can't forget this statistic that 70% of digital transformations don't deliver the value that they're projected. And that's not because they fail. It's usually because we're over optimistic about the value, the size of the prize, the value to be delivered, and we're certainly extremely over optimistic about how quickly it will be delivered. So in the environment we're in right now, we need to be much quicker at delivering results. So technology is important, but it's part of the mix of operational excellence. And of course, there's a lovely quote here: when all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. When all you have is a specific technology, everything looks like the perfect fit for it. So, and this lovely quote here, I think, really gets to the nub of operational excellence. But it's also scary because this idea that an excellent operation, when you apply automation to it, will magnify that efficiency. But if it's an operation or a process which is inefficient, the automation won't just fail to magnify it, it will magnify the inefficiency. So not only do you lose the value of your investment, you also end up having greater operational costs. So it's really, really important we work out how to get efficient operations, efficient processes to apply technology to get the magnification we deserve. And of course, end-to-end process is part of this discussion. I know Bogdan's going to talk a bit about this, and the shared services and outsourcing network continue to do research on this, and organizations are by far the majority are saying we need a way of getting end-to-end process integration ASAP. And of course, excellence in business outcomes and excellence for the customer is about end-to-end thinking and practice. And without going into this in too much detail, you know, we cracked this problem decades ago in the automotive industry. And so anybody in manufacturing understands this perfectly. You know, you don't want to optimize in silos because it doesn't help the end-to-end cycle. But we still have a challenge in some of our softer processes. So we've got to relearn how to apply end-to-end thinking to deliver the results we want. Now, with that, I would like to introduce Bogdan to talk to us about the 4 pillars of operational excellence. Bogdan, welcome.
Thank you very much. Thanks again, Dan. Hello, everybody. I am Bogdan, and I spent almost 25 years of my career in quality, continuous improvement, and enterprise operational excellence and transformation. Had the opportunity to work across multiple industries such as manufacturing, FMCG, retail, food manufacturing, and GBS sales services are not foreign to me as well. So those businesses were part of my assignments in the past 16 years. So before deep diving into the topic, just wanted to say from the very beginning that the intent of the presentation is not to be educational, it's not training. It's just sharing some thoughts, hopefully some inspiring thoughts that you can take away and eventually apply in your work. So without further ado, let's go. Not going actually to get into details of those slides, but building up a little bit on what Dan said about technology. Needless to say that in recent years, we've witnessed an exponential evolution, leading to increased customer needs and demands. So nowadays, the need for change is higher than ever, I would say. And looking at this slide, we can see that there is a lot of interaction at corporate level. Like at enterprise level, it's very, very hard to keep all these plates spinning in sync. Imagining what risks the business are taking to initiate the transformation. You know, on the same metaphor, on spinning the plates, by interfering with the current processes, people, technology, information, the risk to break them is sensible high, I would say, which makes us think about the 70% of the transformation that are not meeting the expectation as at the beginning, at the kickoff. So by the nature of my job, I was in the position to open land and try to identify the root causes and try to fix some of those transformations or some of areas of the transformation. And capitalizing on a few long years of work on this field, I believe there are 2 aspects that we could consider and take forward throughout the organizations. So the first one would be always take a balanced approach between the people, technology, and data. And second, it will be actually to build an operational excellence as a capability to augment the existing operational excellence or continuous improvement organizations or departments that the majority of the business have, and mandate this team to drive the strategic continuous improvement and innovation. So basically, instead of starting a transformation with a rhythm of 2 to 3 years, why don't we think as a business to have a continuous transforming environment or ecosystem that will allow actually continuous positive outcome for business growth. So what we can actually say mainly about operational excellence enhanced capability. So besides the typical efficiency, effectiveness controls areas that we are very, very used to, I would say that capacity, capability, quality, employees and customers needs to be a little bit more in the detail addressed. So basically talking about capacity and capability, as another set of living and meaningful indicators telling us whether the organization has still got room to tactically improve, it's a good start, simply because if those metrics are telling us that we're actually running full capacity and the capability reached the ceiling, then clearly it's time for a breakthrough. Quality, it's always tricky with this this area, because quality metrics and quality KPIs are very often overlooked, especially in service industries. So I believe that a little bit more focus into this area will only help. And employees and customers, I think we all agree that we can't have a successful business if either of these categories are unhappy. So building this augmented excellence capability definitely will bring in the cheetah, let's say, characteristics, and the organization is definitely going to become resilient, or more resilient, more energetic, stronger, agile, innovative, but at the same time declaring war on waste and increasing its own market adaptability and speed of delivery. So building up a little bit more on the operational excellence. Normally, if we look at the business like we look at the house, we do have a base, which is actually the foundation, operation foundation, knowledge, capability, governance. We have the walls of the house that are represented here by end-to-end processes, and we have the roof, which is actually representing the growth strategy, mission, vision, purpose. Looking at the whole overall picture, I would say that without a strong support, the more aspiration the business is going to have, the more chance actually the business actually to face challenges. So basically going back into what I've said in the previous slides, creating this kind of operational excellence methodology supported by the 4 pillars is going actually to be the best way to approach change on a continuous basis, and the change could be named transformation as well. So basically we're going to talk about each of them as we go further. I'm going to leave with you all some guiding principles and some outcomes that are coming from my previous experience, I would say, but not talking in detail about what we normally do in such environments. So basically, talking about the customer experience playbook. We need actually to start moving, and I've seen a number of companies doing that already. From the syntagm of a silent customer is a happy customer. So instead of that, we bring into a proactive partnering or partnership with the customer, be it internal or external, and then develop digital real-time interaction. So everything is actually app-based nowadays, or real-time interactions of any kind. So what would be the deal? Well, customer becomes part of the team. I've seen this working perfectly with external customers as well. And depending on how good the relationship is, both external and internal customer partnership may bring unexpected value, including commercial opportunities, new commercial opportunities. Moving on to end-to-end process management, the second pillar over here. This is what I called a tactical engine. If we look back in real life, this is what the majority of the empowered operational excellence or continuous improvement teams are doing. So continuously working to identify and deliver improvement opportunities, sometimes with end-to-end perspective, falls into this area over here. Again, I repeat, efficiency, effectiveness, controls, they are a must. Everybody looks at them, which is great. However, what more value could we see through this pillar? So basically, operational focus. I've mentioned during my definition that the operational metrics and the operational scrutiny in normal environments should be actually brought up on the same level of importance with financial metrics, I would say. Simply because by looking at end-to-end process capability to deliver an expectation, and making sure that the basically statistical capability of the process to deliver good products or services is becoming actually key. We are actually going to identify new ways of working and the new ways of interaction that are going to open new transformational avenues. In terms of the third pillar, this is a very important one, and I believe the majority of the people will ask, okay, what's the difference? So we have a continuous improvement, and we have actually an end-to-end process management book. What's the deal? So basically, this pillar brings as a novelty the fact that the approaches, methodologies, tools, skill sets required to deliver end-to-end transformational improvements are going to be set here. Technology implementation programs could be here as well, apart from the big IT deployments like ERP or other big IT architecture changes. But mainly this pillar is focusing on making sure that the governance is in place and supports the implementation and benchmarking, brings in a new KPI life cycle and methodology, defines clearly the operation performance improvement roadmap. Visual management is going actually to be set into a tiered approach, which is going actually to be shared from top levels of the company down to the operational levels, and so on and so forth. Above all, I would say that this pillar ensures ensures the functioning of end-to-end process scrutiny, I would say, and will define the scope of end-to-end initiatives and transformational programs that are digitally enabled. Before moving on, I think it's critical to say that the innovation and continuous improvement playbook that we're looking at this moment will ensure end-to-end portfolio management and will include the PMO. Activities from all programs impacting the business, except the IT run ones, in my opinion, should be consolidated into the same place. So, having this playbook in the organization will provide actually the right, let's say, framework to create this kind of environments for all the portfolio, for the entire portfolio. Moving on, we have actually the fourth pillar over here, which is equally important, and this is simply people and culture. So empowering people to take bold action and innovate, easier said than done. I mean, this is very, very clear. Now, the novelty that we could actually talk about is documenting all the people aspects from job roles and descriptions, ways of working, interactions, company and employee commitment to personal and professional development, everything that is related to the people. It should be in a way consolidated and standardized across the business. It plays a key role in having energetic, engaged people, incentivizing people to participate and speak up, I would say. Creating this kind of environment where there's no fear, there is no, forced smiles. We can't see forced smiles around, and where the leaders are colleagues in the real sense. Respect and fairness taken to the next level, I would say. Leaders walking around and talking to people, it's normal, and it shouldn't be actually happening only in specific, let's say, circumstances. And equal opportunities and clear roles and responsibilities and career progressions are going actually to be syndicated, and everyone will be encouraged to develop personally and professionally. So these four pillars, I think it's the main areas that we need actually to build in an organization to ensure that the transformation, like I said, is not going to be a rhythmic activity, but is going actually to become part of organizational DNA. Now, moving on. Well, I'm not expecting you to read it now, so this is actually for takeaway when in your spare time actually to look at it. This is actually a practical application of the 4 pillars assessment that I've run around 12 months after a digital transformation took place. I will leave this slide to you with the following questions. Looking at it, do you think it would have happened in an organization with a strong 4-pillar operational excellence capability? So some food for thought, I believe.
Intriguing.
Yeah, so whose job is actually to deliver operational excellence? The simple answer is everyone's. Whilst a qualified and experienced operational team will deliver on a clear mandate that comes actually top down, we will need stakeholders' direct involvement. I mean, involvement, not only support or sponsorship, but involvement. If we're looking actually at what the operational excellence squad mandate is going to be, is not only actually to create a maturity journey or to work and implement a sustainable operational excellence ecosystem, but to maintain and continuously improve. That's the key one that I wanted actually to share to you all today, because otherwise it's going actually to turn into a rhythmic approach as well. So some people would think that operational excellence could be a one-off program. I believe that's wrong. So we need actually to have operational excellence in any organization, working as a capability, documented as a capability, carrying as well accountabilities and responsibilities like any other operational or department in an organization. So basically, they will have the continuous improvement discipline deployed and applied naturally at what levels. So that's why on the right-hand side over there, I highlighted the key stakeholders, let's say enablers. And it's obvious that it goes straight from the management board or the very senior leadership with the mission and vision starting, and then being deployed by the senior leadership with GPOs where the GPOs exist, ensuring that the roadblocks and barriers are removed, enabling functional operations to integrate seamlessly, not only with the end-to-end perspective, but technology as well. And IT and digital plays actually a very, very key role in these exercises, I would say. And now, being challenged to provide 3, let's say, top takeaways, I pushed it to 5 with an additional 3. Anyway, so it's as simple as it looks. It's not very complicated to implement this, but we need a strong mandate. So the operational excellence teams, operational excellence squad, they really need actually a strong mandate and need to partner with the business. So the recommendation would be always maintain the basics. So if we think back about the house that we have been talking about, don't let the foundation crumble, because if they do, if the foundation is disappearing, everything will fall. Then use as is benchmarking to set own standards and goals. So measure what it matters. This is absolutely critical, in my opinion, to have a very honest and direct approach. So where are we really in terms of current operational performance, and where is our operational excellence journey going to take us? Internal benchmarking, I think, is one element that is quite often overlooked. The third one, define and execute your organization journey to excellence. So this is probably the 5th time I mentioned that. In my vision, an operational excellence capability will act as a continuous transformation. So acting as a continuous transformation, definitely you need actually to have your organization journey into excellence just clearly laid out. The following one is enable business and its purpose to determine all these 3 equally important elements: end-to-end processes. So where a process starts and where it ends, the needs to transform. And here I'm not talking about technology. I talk about everything, about all elements of transformation. So, you know, when we're talking about people, we're talking about processes, we're talking about data, we're talking about anything that it's part of the business. Its own purpose is actually the one that needs to be followed first, which leads us into the third one, the third point over here, the need for new and or disruptive technology. So unless we have actually the flexibility to test, it will be good actually not to let you know, this kind of, you know, impulses drive the investments. And the last but not least, minimize assumptions. So eliminate exceptions. This is actually my mantra, I would say. Sorry, it took a little bit longer, Dan, but over to you.
Thank you very much, Bogdan. That is a very broad and complex topic dealt with in pretty sharp time. You will have questions, so please enter your questions onto the panel and we'll try and get to them very quickly. So I'm just kind of remind ourselves about excellence, and Bogdan's talked about this. I certainly believe it. You know, excellence and end-to-end thinking, end-to-end processes are kind of synonymous. It's very difficult to be excellent if you're only thinking in silos. So we've talked about that. And we're a big believer in making sure we always challenge ourselves with why. Why are we doing things? Why does this process exist? Why is this service there? And excellence starts with why. So I think it's a really important thing to remember. Why are we doing what we do? And if you take that why down into the why, what, and how, what does good look like? What are the, you know, what is the people, process, technology, and data mix in all of this? And Bogdan's talked about the end-to-end processes and the routes through it. And I hope you've got an answer to his question on his source to pay cycle. But of course, you know, this isn't just a set of techniques. It's clearly not just a set of techniques. It's a people thing. It's a making things happen thing. So it's absolutely about IQ and EQ. So we've got to make sure we're building and leading teams with the right blend of these skills. And of course, nothing significant is easy, whatever we're led to believe. You know, success in anything requires making 100 small steps go right, one after the other, no slip-ups, and everyone doing their piece. And this is from a Nobel Prize winning surgeon. And you might well believe that trying to operate on your company's core processes and operations is quite a lot like surgery, maybe open heart surgery. So thinking about Bogdan's top 5 takeaways, he talked about those. What should you do next? So think about that. What have you learned today, or what have you considered today that might change your priorities? And I think when you think about what we're going to do next, I know it's a very common thing. You can aspire to be the cheetah, the agile, the strong, fast organization, but quite often we end up just watching things go by, watching the world go by. So that's a little bit tongue-in-cheek. That was my count there. But ultimately, it's all about execution, getting things done, and that we know is quite an art. So we have a couple of minutes left for your questions. You've got a couple of questions here. I'm going to facilitate them with Bogdan. I just will remind you about those 4 pillars: customer experience, end-to-end process management, continuous improvement and innovation, and the employee experience. Now, I've got a few questions here. I'm going to pick up a couple. So here's one which I think is a bit of a challenge, which is, if operational excellence is everyone's job, is it a bad idea to have a special team or a special squad? That's poetry, isn't it? But anyway, what do you think, Bogdan?
Thanks for the question. I think it's a very, very tough one indeed. So the short answer is yes. We need an operational excellence squad, because of the reasons that I've tried actually to explain earlier. The size of the team, it might differ depending actually where the organization is at its own maturity, operational maturity, technology maturity, etc., etc. But elaborating a little bit more onto that, I believe that there is a need for such a squad, simply because we need to allow business to do business, and we need actually some qualified specialists coming over as facilitators and integrators of, people, processes, technology, data, and making sure that everything works in sync. So the whole idea would be basically to have actually someone that is going to link together all the business areas and be able and available at any moment to do so.
But you don't want to delegate operational excellence, or worse still, abdicate it to a special group. So you need that combination of the squad and also making sure your leaders are absolutely bought in and capable.
Correct.
Okay, so it's a great great combination. We're nearly out of time, but another question here. How dependent is operational excellence on end-to-end processes?
Another good one. Yeah, thanks for this question. I don't think that they can leave one without another. So end-to-end is operational excellence, and operational excellence looks end-to-end.
So it's mutually symbiotic.
Yes, mutually symbiotic.
Okay, fair enough. I've got one other. There's a few other questions here, but one I quite like. You mentioned the PMO. It's important to have a project or program management office and project portfolio management. I often see a PMO or a PPM organization in multiple areas. You might see a PMO in IT, you might see a PMO in GBS, you might see a PMO in another part of the organization. How do you resolve that issue?
Well,
can you have too many PMOs, or should you have one?
I believe that we need to have a single PMO for everything that happens across the enterprise, across the business. And quickly explaining why. Simply because without having actually a consolidated view and being able to look at the financials, being able to look at the delivery of everything that goes on across the company, and find the single source of truth, it will lead to having sort of conflicting objectives across the organization, right? So Department A is going actually to have their portfolio, they are going to have their own investments, they are going to have their own deliverables, which might easily conflict with Department B, PMO.
So you can't have more than one conductor for the orchestra, basically.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Bogdan. We are through our 30 minutes. It's actually 32 minutes, for which I apologize. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Bogdan, for being with us.
Thank you.
And I hope your journey to operational excellence gets a little bit of a boost right now. So thanks very much, and see you next time.